I have a massive cold, so let's see how far into this vlog intro I can get without coughing along up. This week coming encapsulates Valentine's Day. It's coming up on Friday, today's Sunday, so I thought that there was no better time than the present to dive into 3, potentially 4, romance books that I'm really looking forward to reading. Romance books that I really want to try out, authors that I really want to give a try to. I started with a disclaimer that I am already about 50 or so pages into one of the books, and that is The Deal by Elle Kennedy. I am precisely 52 pages in. I don't know right now how I feel about this one. It's not the start of the book that I was expecting it to be, because at the beginning of this book, Hannah is actually in love with somebody else. She's not in love with Garrett or Graham or however you want to call him. She's got her eyes set on Justin, who is one of his teammates on the hockey team for the college. And I'm not super in love with Graham's kind of pushiness towards her and his inability to accept that no, she doesn't want to tutor him, she doesn't want to be his class tutor, she just wants him to leave her the hell alone. I do, however, really like the discussion of Hannah having previously been raped and how that has affected her and the long-term effects that it's had on her life. I've not read a single Elle Kennedy book yet. This is the first one, but I have got 2 others at my disposal. I have got The Deal, I have got The Graham Effect, and I have got the entire trilogy of the Avalon Bay series. So, Good Girl Summer and Bad Girl, whatever it is. I just need to actually read her now. I think it's gone long enough that I've had them on my shelves, but I haven't actually done anything with them. So that's book 1. I've also got 2 others on my sides, and that is Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. I've really got to read this one because I've also got Beg, Borrow, or Steal that I just bought. You can kind of see it over here, somewhere in this little pile. And I've heard so many good things about Beg, Borrow, and Steal. I know the Chandler from Chandler Ainsley had this as one of her favourite books from January. There's another person who I saw had it as their book of January. And I just really want to read it. I really love Sarah Adams because all of the books that she has written are closed door, but that doesn't take away from any of the tension. It doesn't take away from any of the chemistry. And I really loved When in Rome. So I'm hoping that because this is in the same series, I'm going to have a really great time with this one as well. I don't think that this is the celebrity romance of the When in Rome book. I think this is more so just concentrating on the small town. I think one of them is a bodyguard and the other one is a florist. But I really love a small town romance, so hopefully that's gonna hit me up. Then we have got First Time Caller by B.K. Barrison. When I tell you I could not wait for this book to come out, I absolutely worship the ground that Nora Ephron walks on. So when I heard that there were 3 books coming out, all of which had to do with her 3 big rom-coms, I had to pick this up. Now this one is Sleepless in Seattle based. And that is not one of my favourites of the 3. My favourite of the 3 is You've Got Mail. So when the You've Got Mail retelling comes out, I will basically be camping out in front of the bookshop to get it. But I absolutely adore Nora Ephron. I love the storyline of Sleepless in Seattle. I love Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan together. They have got phenomenal chemistry and they just work really well together. So when I'm reading this, I am going to take an evening and just do a little bit of a self-care evening, maybe a face mask, maybe a takeaway. And I'm going to watch Sleepless in Seattle, and then the day after, or when it's finished, depending on what time of the day it is, I'm going to start picking up First Time Caller. I have however got another potential, and that is Late Bloomer by Maisie Eddings. It is an audiobook that I started on Friday evening, and I'm about 10% or so of the way through. And I feel like I need to finish that one out before I can move on to another audiobook, but I'm having a really good time with it so far. It's about a young girl called Opal, who at the beginning of the book has won about $500,000 on a lottery scratch card. And this is bringing in a lot of problems because now everybody is knocking on her door and saying, oh, I really would like this money so that I can get medical treatment, or I'd really like this money so that I can go to Disneyland, or whatever it is. And that's starting to really grate on her. So she takes all of the money that she's gotten and she takes off for a farm in North Carolina. I think it's in Asheville. And I've just gotten to the point where she is getting the deeds of the farm, and I'm pretty sure it's not going to be a simple transition of power. I cannot wait to see what kind of chaos and what kind of shenanigans are going to come from this book. I really enjoyed Maisie's writing before. I read A Brush with Love maybe early 2023. I definitely left it until I was finished with a lot of dental work because I didn't want to have any dental trauma, any PTSD while I was working through that book. But I did have a really good time with it, and I really enjoy her writing style. It's very conversational, it's very informal. So let's just see if that continues on with this book. It's Wednesday evening. I am still in the desperate grip of a cold, but you haven't seen me since either Saturday or Sunday, and I have got some things to update you on. So we'll start with the physical book. The Deal, I am at page 166 by now, and I don't know continuously where I'm sitting with this. There are moments in this book where I don't really approve of some of the things that Garrett has been doing. I don't love how pushy he is to get Hannah to say yes to him, particularly when Hannah has been in a situation like this in the past where somebody disregarded her saying no. That feels more than an ick to me. That feels really awful. It feels violative. I don't know how I'm feeling about the book as a whole. There are a couple of characters in here that I'm not particularly gelling with. I definitely have got my hunches raised about Justin, who is the other guy on the hockey team on whom Hannah has had a massive crush, wants to get with him. At present in the book, Hannah and Justin have just organised a first date together, and I am picturing it all crashing and burning in front of my eyes. Don't know how that's going to happen, but any time that I have seen Justin on page, I haven't warmed to him. Now, there's been few and far between characters that I have warmed to in this book, but Justin is definitely not one of them. But I also have got 2 audiobooks on the go right now because I am a glutton for punishment. I am about 40 or so % into Late Bloomer by Maisie Eddings. This started out really good for me. I had a really great vibe with it, and then I just kind of lost my way about a third of the way through the book. I felt like I was losing where the narrative was going, and it felt very stagnant. Opal, who's one of the main characters, won $500,000 on a scratcher, and with the money, she has decided to buy a rundown, very old flower farm in Asheville, North Carolina. So she set it out there. She is trying to set herself up in the farmhouse because she's going to use it as a studio where she's going to paint pictures and pictures and pictures of flowers. Also living on the farm's land is Pepper. Pepper's grandmother owned the farm, and she is the one from whom Opal has actually bought the farm. And Pepper is still like a live-in tenant at the moment. And there's a whole lot of, I want you not to be here because I want to be here in this story. They are starting to thaw with one another. Pepper has been struck by a really bad migraine in a couple of chapters ago from what I've just read. And Opal taking care of her was genuinely lovely. Opal seems to have kind of nocturnal vibes where she was awake at 2 o'clock in the morning anyway. So went in and sat with Pepper and was at the end of her bed and just held her hand and guided her through it as best as she could, which I thought was really nice. There's other parts of it where I just feel like the story is just developing with me not knowing where it's going and what's happening. I'm going to keep going with it because I have a feeling that the vibes are going to start picking up a little bit sooner. But right now it just feels a little bit stagnant. I'm also about 10 or so % of the way through Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. I'm having a really good time with this one. Again, I know, like other Sarah Adams books, this one isn't going to be very heavy on the spice, but it will be heavy on the chemistry, it will be heavy on the tension, and I love that aspect of Sarah Adams' writing. There hasn't been a whole lot of it recently because the main characters have just kind of gotten to know one another and have just gotten back into each other's lives. But I know that somewhere down the line it's going to start happening. What I do love, however, is the relationship between Annie and Amelia. Amelia is the girlfriend of Annie's brother. We met them in the first book, and their wedding is coming up and they're starting to plan everything. And I think it's a month until the wedding because that is why Will is in town and he is Amelia's bodyguard. Will and Annie have known each other from times that Will was in town before, and they're striking up a kind of a friendship, and it's maybe more out of it. And Will is going to kind of Pygmalion Annie into showing her how to go on dates properly, because the first time that we met Annie was on a date from hell. And I love that kind of date from hell scenario when you were reading it, but I want better things for her. So I'm definitely going to be hanging around. I'm going to be knocking around to see what comes out of this. Because I'm hopeful. I know that Sarah Adams' writing definitely works for me. So I'm hopeful that this is going to hit me just as well as When in Rome did. Aside from that, other things that are happening in my life, I am growing an axolotl. If you have a flying tiger nearby you, they have got a little kind of an egg with a grow your own axolotl in it, kind of like the grow your own aliens that we had when we were all younger in the 90s. This came as like a little blue egg. You put it in water for a couple of days, and then out of it is going to hatch this little thing. I don't want loads of water to go all over my table, so I'm trying to hold it in front of the mug. This is going to be Brian. He still has an egg all over his back. He's not fully hatched out yet, and I don't want to like drag him out in case that's going to damage him. He's very slimy as well. This is going to be Brian. I don't think he's ever had a thought in his entire life. But I love him. I am obsessed with him. I absolutely love axolotls. I just think that they are incredibly adorable. They're kind of like in that quokka stage where they've just always gotten that smile on their face, and I don't know if that's because of their facial makeup or if it's just that they are always happy. I'm going to let Brian sit for another couple of days and see how long it's going to take him to fully come out of his shell. I'm actually pulling some of the shell off just by putting my hands on him. And I'm probably going to refresh the water and then see how it goes from there. But that is Brian and my life update at present. What a perfectly seasonal Valentine's Day. It's snowing. First things first, update on Brian. Look at him. He's fully hatched. There's a little bit of glue stuck to his back left leg, but he's perfect. Anyway, that's enough out of him. It's Valentine's Day. It is Friday evening. It is freezing cold. I think overnight it's going to get to about -12 or so degrees. And it would be so great if I could just curl up on the couch and do nothing for the entire evening. Alas, and unfortunately, I have to go outside. I have still got some gifts that I need to get for the German. Over Valentine's Day, we decided that our presents are going to be some of those like TikTok viral couple challenges that you've seen. So we need to get something that is their favorite color. We need to get them a snack. We need to get something that reminds you of them, something that they need, and something that you can do together. Now, I've got a couple of those already sorted. For something that is their favorite color, I found a little Tamagotchi keyring in Flying Tiger that is going to be perfect. For something that we can do together, I've got a book that I was given a couple of years ago of 100 things that you can do in Berlin, either for free or not for a lot of money. So I'm going to give that as a kind of example of things that we can do together based around the city that we live in. For the snacks, I'm going to make him a tray of blondies that he absolutely loves. There's been days that we have finished a tray and he's asked me if he can make a second one. So I'm going to make an entire tray for him. I have ideas for the things that he needs because he's really in his skincare moment at the moment. So I'm going to put together a little kind of men's skincare, facial care situation for him. For the thing that makes me think of him, I have too many ideas and also no ideas simultaneously. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take myself on a little Valentine's Day girl date. I am alone on Valentine's Day because he's got a work event, he's got a work party this evening. So I am going to take myself out. Not like with a sniper, I mean like for a date. I'm going to go to Potsdamer Platz, which is a kind of a big built up area in Berlin. It was divided straight in two by the wall, but obviously the wall is no longer there. So there's a lot of kind of history in the area, but there are two really big shopping centers that I'm going to go for. And I know that within the two of those, I'm going to definitely find something. And it also has a massive food court that I think just opened end of 2024, start of 2025 that I haven't discovered yet. I haven't gone around it. And I think it's got something like 36 different international cuisines that you can try out. So I'm going to take you along with me. We're going to have a look at what foods are there. We're going to have a look at what gift options are there. And while I'm on my way, I'm going to bring the deal with me. But I feel like this is the deal's last chance to impress me. I have been close to DNFing this book so many times. But I don't want to start something new because I'm starting a buddy read with my friend Shannon on Monday. So I don't want to start something completely new and then run the risk of that running over into Monday. But I'm going to bring the book with me on the train. And I am just going to give it the train ride there and the train ride back. and if I don't love it by the time I turn the key coming in my door when I come back, it is going in the DNF pile. Because life is just way too short to waste on books that you don't enjoy. Also, what I'm going to do when I come back this evening is I'm going to bring a bottle of wine with me. I'm going to curl up on the couch. I'm going to put my projector on and I'm going to watch Sleepless in Seattle in preparation for tomorrow. Tomorrow, Julie from Keep Calm with Books and Coffee, Margaret from The Word Nerd, and I are doing our Old Lady Crafts Hour once again. Over the end of 2024, we kind of had a chat with ourselves and decided that we had a lot of things in common. We enjoyed reading, but we also did a lot of kind of crafty work. We did knitting, we did crocheting, we did diamond painting, we did cross stitch. So we thought it would be just a really nice and cozy vibe to sit together with whatever it is that we are working on at the moment, with an audio book so that we didn't have to turn pages with our hands every now and then treat it like sprints. Catch up after an hour, talk about what it is that we've been doing, talk with everybody in the audience, and then go back and do it all over again. So tomorrow we have got an Old Lady Crafts Hour tomorrow on my channel, and I am going to listen to First Time Caller. It hasn't been available on the library yet, but I have found a copy of it on Spotify. And I'm also going to continue work on the blanket that I'm still working on since, I want to say, October, November. It looks like this so far. Some of the colours are a little bit too similar. I do understand. I completely agree with you. But it is what it is and we are where we are. So the idea is going to be kind of a mustardy yellow, a brown, a block colour. A mustardy yellow, a brown, another block cover. And I've got a couple of different colour balls of wool that I still want to work in. I've got a white, I've got a coral, I've got a kind of a baby blue, I've got a powdery blue. And I'm just going to go with it for as long until I run out of wool. And I don't think that's going to be happening tomorrow. But at least I have got some plans that are going to get me a little bit further in. It's about 20 to 4 on Saturday, and craft hour is starting in about 20 minutes. I've got everything I need to continue on with the blanket, including some of the gold color that is going to be the next one. I don't think I'm going to need to get to the brown anytime soon, but let's see where we're going. I have got First Time Caller locked and loaded, ready to go on Spotify. I'm patiently waiting for it, but I'm so glad that the moment to read it is fast approaching. I watched Sleepless in Seattle last night. It was phenomenal. It was just as good as I remember. But now that I have seen specific points of the plot, I'm kind of wondering how they're going to work that into the book. And I'm kind of wondering how it's going to be worked around and written out. So now I'm intrigued and I am interested to see what BK Barson is going to do with it. I know what you're most interested in is the Valentine's Day gift haul. So let's go for that first. So for the snack, it was a butter biscuit with like a raspberry jam center. Obviously, I've opened them already. Obviously, I'm about halfway through the packet. For the something that I saw and I thought of you, it is a Taylor Swift pencil case, which is, surprise, full of sour candy, sour gummies, whatever you want to call them. There's like these little sticks, and then there's like these like chewy, hard boiled sweets, which have like a sherbety, like a sour sherbet center into it. For the thing that we can do together, he got the Valentine's Day version of our favorite liqueur that's here, made in Berlin. So this is the Cherry Moonshine from O'Donnell Moonshine. And it's got a separate little sticker on the front of it, which you can fill in yourself. So it's got, "You are my
crush, future date, soulmate, favorite person, or you are perfect for cheersing with. And I was told don't pick that one because it's got a second meaning to it that isn't exactly super positive. For favorite color, my favorite color is actually yellow. It's not purple. So he got the Lego sunflowers. Every year he has gotten me Lego flowers because I don't actually like real flowers. I don't think you should give somebody something that's going to die within a week. And then for the thing that I need, he got me a hair turban because I'm always running around with a towel on my head after a shower and complaining that like I need two different towels to dry my hair and to dry my body. So he said, okay, stop complaining. I've got you a hair turban now. You can wrap this into it instead. Perfect. So that's the Valentine's Day gifts. Let's talk about the Valentine's Day reading. That has gone. So yesterday I had to finish the clip a little bit earlier because my mom called as I was talking to you guys, and we spent the entire time up to the start of Sprints actually catching up and talking. I started First Time Caller on Sprints and it was so good so far. I really love the kind of reimagining of it in that Aiden, who is the main character, is the guy who is running that radio show that Lucy's daughter runs into. Lucy's daughter is Maya. She's 12 years old rather than an 8-year-old in the movie. And I really love the family setup that Lucy has with Maya. I don't know if he's Lucy's ex-partner. I don't know if they have ever had a romantic relationship before. But Maya's father is gay. He is living next door with his husband. They've had a really great relationship, Maya and her father, the entire time. And I love that family setup to it. What I also love as well is that Lucy is working in a quite traditionally masculine role. She works as a car mechanic. And I really love just seeing her working in a male-dominated role. I think it's going to be really interesting. I think there's going to be a lot of discussion that's going to be happening around that. And I just love the concept of the book so far. We've gotten to a point where the chat that Lucy and Aiden had has gone viral. I think because it was a podcast that was brought out a week after the actual broadcast, and now people are just talking about it. It feels very of its time because there's talks about podcasts, because there's talks about online dating and dating apps and dating profiles. It doesn't feel like it's kind of stretched in trying to make Sleepless in Seattle work for a time that's now. I'm so into this book. I think I'm going to sit on the couch for the rest of the evening and just power through as much of First Time Caller as I can. When it comes to the deal, I don't know if I'm going to leave it behind me, but I think I am going to take a slower pace with it. I kind of warmed to it a little bit more while I was on my way to Potsdamer Platz on Friday. I warmed to it a little bit more while I was reading it over the weekend. I think I'm going to keep going with it, but it will be a kind of a back burner book. It's not going to be one that I have to finish it immediately. And it's not the kind of book that I don't want to pick this up. And when I do pick it up, I'm just plodding through it to get through it. Because the storyline is starting to really pick up now. And it really did while I was out for dinner on Friday. I kind of got the pages dirty with the chili noodles that I was eating. But I'm having a better time with it as it seems to be going on. So what I'm hoping is that slowly but surely it'll work its way up to maybe a 3-star or maybe a 3.5-star. Right now, if I was to run it through Copilot, I think it would probably be about a 2.5, but maybe a high enough 2.5 that something that's happening later on could save it. It is Monday morning. It is round about time to wrap this up because I've spent the entire week reading absolutely nothing but romance novels, and I have had the best time. I have ended it on a really high note. I had some really good wins throughout the week, but there were a couple that just didn't work. And then there was one that I completely brushed to the side entirely. At the start of the week, I said that my wildcard was Late Bloomer by Maisie Eddings. Guess who hasn't read that book since Thursday? I think I need to go back into it. I think I need to go back and rediscover it and get a little bit more into the story and see if it's going to work for me. At present, I think it would be sitting at about a 3. A high 2.5 to a low 3. And I just don't know if that's what Maisie Eddings wants to hear. As for the deal,
I'm going to give it a little bit more time. I'm going to see how I develop with it over the next week coming. As for First Time Caller, I'm all in. I am locked and loaded. I think I'm going to have a great time with this one. I've never been let down by a BK Morrison book before, and I really don't imagine this one being the first to do so. And for Practice Makes Perfect, I had such a great time being back in Rome, Kentucky. I have got Beg, Borrow, or Steal on my shelves, and I cannot wait to go and pick it up. I think it might bleed a little bit into March, or maybe a little bit into April, but it will definitely be within the next couple of months. So I'm going to go and start reading yet another romance book because my friend Shannon and I are going to be reading Deep End for pretty much the rest of the next week. I'm intrigued, but I'm a little bit worried because Ali Hazelwood has had kind of ups and downs for me, and I don't love her sameness when it comes to writing couples that are 7 foot tall and 3 inches tall, and there's never any in between. But I'm going to go with an open mind and I'm going to see how it goes. And if you want to find out how that happens, you are going to have to sadly wait until the end of the month for the wrap up. But we had a great time. We had some love. We had some Valentine's Day stuff. And I think I have found a really good romance that I want to recommend to people. If you would love to leave me a comment here, but you can't think of anything you like saying, then just leave me one of the hearts emojis. Don't forget to like and subscribe because I have new videos up every week. Now, get on out of here.